My name is Catherine Likhuta. I'm a composer, pianist, and I'm originally from Ukraine. I lived in the US for 8 years, and then I came to Australia in 2012. We moved to Brisbane with my husband, and he got a job at the University of Queensland, and that was the reason we moved here, and we never looked back. I want to say, first of all, that I'm extremely excited about this performance. Of course, ever since I came to Brisbane, QSO has been just, you know, an icon for me and a dream to have a performance by them. So I'm really, really grateful, and working with Umberto is fantastic as well. He's so charming and fun and beautifully musical as well. So this piece, Rituals of Heartland, it was commissioned by Melbourne Symphony Orchestra as part of their SciBac 21st Century Australian Composers Program. It was my first commission for symphony orchestra, and at that time my daughter turned 4, and I wanted to include her in the creative process and kind of use this project as a time capsule for her imagination. And I thought she was 4, so she just started drawing the things that were recognizable to a human, but they were not yet influenced by what people think is pretty and is ugly and is right and wrong. And so I really liked that innocence, and I wanted to capture that. And we came up with a story about this Ukrainian girl who, it's like a musical fairy tale, and it was like my contemporary Ukrainian-inspired take on Peter and the Wolf, but without the narrator, with all the music telling the story. Yeah, well, I actually write a lot for large ensembles for wind orchestras, but for symphony orchestras, I think there are fewer contemporary works and contemporary commissions for symphony orchestra in Australia and in general in the world. That's just how things are working. Symphony orchestra is different. You have so much tradition, so you have to somehow draw on that or somehow relate to that. At the same time, I want to bring something of my own and something new. And so I worked with some of the traditional symphony orchestra instruments to kind of serve the purpose of the Ukrainian folk music that I wanted to have. So there is, I used harp to imitate bandura, which is a quintessential folk Ukrainian instrument, pluck instrument. And I used viola solo almost as a fiddle in Ukrainian folk melody that I came up with myself. And piccolo sounds a little bit like a Ukrainian wind instrument called sopilka. So I worked with that within the symphony orchestra. Yeah, writing for symphony orchestra is a lot of fun. When I was writing this piece, I remember that I really wanted to make it Ukrainian. Not all of my music is really strongly in-your-face Ukrainian, but with this piece I really wanted it to be, because Australian audiences are not very well familiar with Ukrainian culture, and it's such a rich culture dating back centuries and and millennia. And I just really wanted to use my music as an opportunity to share Ukrainian culture with as many audiences as possible. So as part of that, I'm extremely grateful to Queensland Symphony Orchestra for doing that. And obviously it's a really important performance for me in the light of Russia's war in Ukraine. But this performance was actually scheduled before the war started, so it's not just as a result of the war. So I'm very grateful for QSO for picking up my piece.